I had a lifelong dream. Wouldn't it be nice if I could someday create my own festival? How many people get to the end of their life with the regret of never even attempting to pursue a dream, a goal? Year one was 500 people. Anybody out there who's planning on ever running an event, I'm going to tell you right now, your number one problem is...
This is Jeffrey Kass, founder and lead organizer of the Festival of Legends, a fairy festival that brings together artists, performers, storytellers, and fans from all walks of life. It's home to countless creative acts, and it wouldn't exist without his passion and dedication. Today, we're sitting down with him to hear all about it. Let's get into it. Jeff, thanks for having us in your home. This is a really cool spot.
Oh, thank you.
Let's start with what you were doing when you started thinking about the first Festival of Legends. So what was Jeffrey Kass doing back then, 12 years ago?
Oh, wow. 14, actually. We had a 2-year pause, then came back. So we just had our 12th event, but 14 years ago. So great question. Well, I guess I should probably say, I'm a career teacher, public educator, dual certified in science and English language arts, high school level. Been doing that for 22 years now. And so, I don't know, whether it was 10 years into my, career at that point or whatever, I don't feel like doing math. A lot of personal changes were going on in my life. A lot of things were happening. And I had a lifelong dream, just kind of that, fantasy, just kind of floating in the back. Wouldn't it be nice if I could someday create my own festival? I had amazing experiences with Renaissance festivals and other events. They were very formative for me. They did a lot for me. And, I kind of always had this desire to have one, not just to be the owner of one, partially just to bring another one into the world, but kind of the bigger goal being, knowing how much events and festivals did for me, I want to be able to have other people have that opportunity and that option. And there may be some people in the area who, if I didn't do this, would never have that experience, that exposure, and some of the wonderful experiences that I've had. So there was, I'm kind of pondering this and thinking about some upheaval in my life. And a local event had shut down recently. And so it kind of created an opening. It was the North Carolina Renaissance Festival. It went defunct. Yeah, I think around 2009 is when it died. It took me a little bit of time to get things up and rolling with my event. So it had ended. So there's now a gap in the calendar, and it was a small event, and it wasn't immediately in the area, but it was one of the things that drew people. And I'm like, well, this kind of seems like a sign. There's an opening. There's still a desire for people to go to it. I needed a change, and ultimately, what I said to myself was, how many people get to the end of their life with the regret of never even attempting to pursue, a dream, a goal, a wish. And I'm like, I'm going to try it. It may fail spectacularly. I may do this once. It may just be a horrible fiasco, but then I could say, okay, I wanted to, and I did. Yeah. It ended up being successful. And here I am 14 years later, finished my 12th, and now planning my 13th.
Mm-hmm. And backtracking a little bit, where did the love of fantasy or Renaissance festivals and all that, fairy festivals, where did that love come from?
One of my earliest memories ever, I don't know, I was maybe 6, 7 years old, and my parents took me and my baby sister to the Michigan Renaissance Festival. I'm originally from the Detroit area. And I just remember that being one of the most amazing things I'd ever experienced. And we just never really made it back as a family. My parents were like, oh, this is a thing to do, a thing to take the kids to. It's a novelty. They went, they did it, and they're like, okay, well, we've done the Ren Fair. They had a good time. Not like super their scene, but I never.
For you, it was like a special moment there. Formative.
Yeah. It lived with me. And then I finally get to the age where I'm old enough to get into my teenage years, driver's license. And I'm like, okay, I have some level of independence. Oh gosh, I can go. And I always just kept missing it. It's at the start of the school year. Michigan Ren Fair's like September, October is when it runs. I was in school, and I remember I'm getting into college now. And it was like my first year of college, and I just had this thought. I'm like, I can't miss it if I'm working there. And so I started asking around, looking for a way to get involved or get in. And as luck would have it, part of the directorial staff, a key component of the directorial staff of the Michigan Ren Fair was university faculty, teachers at the university I was attending at the time. So I'm like, oh my gosh, that's incredible. Basically got audition information, found out like 2 weeks before the final round of auditions. I threw together a costume just quickly, just completely BS'd an act, went in, got in, and working it, those first 7 weekends was just the most incredible thing for me. I was always kind of a loner. I never really had many friends. And I was like, I never fit in anywhere. I mean, it wasn't anything that serious, but, I wasn't like a sports guy. I wasn't into cars and, I wasn't like a science guy. Like I just didn't, chess club, nothing really ever super clicked for me. But then I get here and this community of people, it was, I shorthanded to saying it was kind of my adult awakening, as in like, it was the moment when like something turned on in me and I really emerged into being an individual, and definitely the foundations for just who I am today as a person. In all ways too, more than just my love of Renaissance festivals. It's just, how I am social, a variety of interests and things that I have that have spun out of that. So it's just affected my life in just tremendous ways. And I've just carried that with me always. Some of the happiest memories of my life are from my first years performing at a Ren Fair.
Yeah, and I guess the fact that you had that opportunity, like now being able to put on your own show, like that's probably a big driver for giving that opportunity to other people, right?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and I love to, in all ways too, people who want to start their own events. I love chatting with them about it and helping them, forward in that journey with a lot of the logistics I've figured out, or people who are new performers coming in and like learning how to be a better street character or stage act or whatever. Giving new artists a chance to showcase their wares. Yeah. And then of course patrons, attendees, coming in, and some of them first only experience. I get a lot of people who walk in and say things like, I had no idea things like this even existed. And I mean, I'll be honest, mine's not like a gigantic, event. I'm working on getting there. But yeah, and letting people, and just telling people, there are even bigger events than mine.
And yours isn't small. Let's just say
it's not small, but I'm not, I don't have a permanent location. It's, one day that I would love to, working towards it. It's a lot of property, and I'll be blunt. It's a whole lot of money, and it's hard to come up with all that. And then, the structures and such, but yeah, that is the goal someday.
So what was it like figuring out those logistics for the first event?
Oh my God.
How did that happen?
So a lot of people ask me, so like, what is it like actually doing this? And I say it's 99% of the time you are looking at a glowing screen. And most of the times you're staring at an Excel spreadsheet. In the early days, it was a lot more Googling. I talked to people who I knew that had started businesses and were successful. Just did a lot of internet research on what do I have to do to become a legitimate business? What is better? Should I be a not-for-profit? Should I be an LLC? And just a lot of mistakes, a lot of trial and error, whole lot of frustration. It gets a little less frustrating as I go year after year, thank goodness. But just pulling on a lot of resources. I said Googling and internet research, but for a lot of reasons, I have a lot of connections, just a wide variety of areas. So I had a lot of friends that I could pull on to go, hey, can you tell me about this about finance? Can you tell me this about insurance? Can you tell me this about scheduling?
It's amazing to have a network of people who have expertise in all those different areas.
The event would not be where it is today without them. And the network that I have is incredible. They're all out of state. I say all of them. One lives in Charlotte. One lives out in Asheville. Well, it's a couple actually. So we've got that in terms of directors, and then after that, they're all from out of state. West Virginia, Maryland, back home in Detroit. My sound tech comes up from Georgia. To take care of all that. So I just have this huge network of people spread all over the eastern United States who come and do this. And I've met these people in weird and wonderful ways, but they're here now. And I couldn't do this without them. There's no way. I don't have the ability, the knowledge, or the expertise to do everything that this event requires.
And what kind of team did you have for the first one that you put on? How many people were involved?
3?
Okay.
including me.
Skeleton crew.
Yeah, no, okay, well, okay, so to be fair, okay, so hold on. Decision makers, people directly helping me like figure out, where to put things and stuff. Like I said, about two other people, 2 to 3 other people. And then I did have I don't know, 6, 7, 8 volunteers.
Okay.
I would have to say that first year. And like I said, a lot of friends advising. But if you're talking like boots on the ground and making it happen, that's around the numbers.
And real quick, comparing it to now, like how many people did you have at this last one?
870. Yeah, it's something like 870. I'm pretty close, and that's everything. That's directors. Now that's also including performers, performers, artists, things like that. Compared to year one, well under 100 people. Equivalent. For performers, volunteers, all that stuff.
Gotcha. So going from about 100 to about 800 or so.
Yeah, almost 900, people working the event. And I'm surprised you haven't asked about attendance yet.
I was about to. Yeah, let's talk about that.
Yeah, well, year one was 500 people.
Okay.
This year was 5,000 people.
That's insane.
It is, and it was like 49.28 if you want to be picky. I rounded up a little bit. But that is adults 13 and up. So because we don't
like
charge
tickets sold. Yeah.
Yeah, that's individual tickets sold. We estimate we had about 2,000 children ages 12 and under. So we didn't actually do a count. If they were 12 and under, we just waved them in.
Congrats on the 10x growth.
Yeah, right.
It's really cool.
Thank you.
What was it like watching the festival grow, year after year as you were doing it? And like, what were some of the struggles you ran into as it got bigger?
Oh boy, watching it get bigger was stressful. You kind of answer the question in and of itself. As the event gets bigger, you need more space. We're on our 3rd venue now. In the lifetime of the event. We just had our 2nd year at Sug Farm. Our first 4 years, we were at a little place called Storybook Farm out in Chapel Hill. Then the next 6 years, we were at Optimist Farm, close to Apex. And then now we moved here. And each time it was because we just kept getting bigger and bigger and bigger. The event started, the event ground was like 4 acres, I think. Okay. And then we moved to like 16 acres of event ground, and now we're at 120 total acres, including parking. I don't know what the event grounds are now. Like the event grounds are now like 30 or 40 acres in and of itself where the actual event is. So yeah, just watching it grow bigger, just parking. Anybody out there who's planning on ever running an event, I'm gonna tell you right now, your number one problem is parking above and beyond all else. Get the space for parking critical, and good parking spots too. You get the good parking lots too. You get the gravel ones. We've had so many years with rain just washing out. We've had some serious weather issues and some mud years. We've persevered. But yeah, parking and physical layout too, like just figuring out how to use the space. Previous years, I had a much more defined space, so it was kind of easy. Like I didn't have a whole lot of choice where to put things. Well, now that I'm in this huge space, I can't fill the event space yet. I just don't have enough stuff. I can't do that. So I've got like almost too blank of a palette, too empty of a frame. And so did some stuff the last couple of years. Kind of worked, kind of didn't. Actually, today I spent my morning before you showed up working on the new revised site plan for the upcoming 2026 event. So I think I got it. I think I know what I'm going to do. But yeah, that's really hard is just getting out, especially like I said, when you have a blank slate, just figuring out where everything's going to go and measuring it out and getting it accurate.
That's all really good advice. Have you ever mentored anybody else in making their own events or anything like that?
I have. A couple of people came to me and asked questions. Some of them, for various reasons, decided, not to go through with it, never counseled them out of it.
It happens.
I wouldn't, saying the word mentor feels a little bit pretentious, but there is another event that is very successful. Actually, I'll go ahead and give them a shout out because I love them, Viking Experience. Early on, they came to me and said, hey, now they were already part of a group that was doing like historical reenactment stuff. They were trying to kind of branch out, morph out, add an event. And they already had a lot of experience too. I mean, they were doing, unrelated to the Viking stuff, they were doing murder mystery dinners and things like that. So they knew what they were doing. So they just had kind of some of those nuts and bolts, questions and just like little nitpicky details. And so we had a lot of discussions, a lot of talks leading up to their first event, and then first couple of years, they'd ping me for advice, and I was always happy to share my opinions and give it to them. So, and they're doing awesome. So I don't really claim credit. No, I don't claim it. I'm not going to claim credit, but I'm glad I could help. I'm glad I was able to contribute to the success of their event, and it's a lot of fun. And they just bought their own property, so they're light years ahead of me. So a little jealous of that, but hey, no, I'm super happy for them, and it's a gorgeous place, and really good event. So, and I'm just happy I was again a part. And that's what I was talking about. It's that expansion and building community. Obviously, I wasn't introducing them to it too, but again, I get to help contribute, and if I get to see another event flourish, that is my larger goal. There's more opportunities for people. Maybe they don't want fairy and the type of music that I have, or the types of that's fine. Maybe their thing is a specific historical period. Great. I'm glad that option is now available. It just makes me happy to know it's there.
And your last event was the 12th version of the Festival of Legends. It was at the end of April, right?
Yep.
So it's been a little over a month now. How was this version of the festival?
Awesome. Fantastic. For me, best one yet. By just every account. I mean, I already said, the largest attendance. And just for me, it's just the numbers are only important as a way to kind of measure success. People
kind of comparing yourself to what you did last year and that sort of thing.
Yeah. I'm in competition with myself, and I'm always trying to build a better event, and more people coming shows me more people are liking it. Gross. More entertainment than I've ever had, and very pleased with all the entertainers that I had out there. More vendors than I've ever had, artists selling their stuff. More food. Literally more of everything. So I'm very, very, very proud of, very pleased with this year's event. Was it perfect? No, of course not. There were some bumps in the road. Made some notes for next year. Some things unavoidable, other things, okay, well, we could tweak this here. Already mentioned the site plan. Wasn't perfect this year, got the job done. I'm like, okay, we're still trying to figure out the land and the terrain. So making some revisions and adjustments based on, 2 years now of playing with the space. So, but no, I just, other than just some minor hiccups, bumps in the road, best year I've had yet. Yeah. And just, I don't normally get this started this early working on the next one, but I this year I'm very energized. I am kind of taking some downtime, taking a break. Being a teacher, I don't get a lot of those, and I get a 1 week summer vacation. But normally I take much longer of a break. I take like a month or 2 months off, and I've actually been getting on next year's event more. I've already started like formulating real plans and not just kind of daydreaming about it like I usually do, kind of musing. It's like, no, I'm actually, getting some hard stuff down. Just
putting pen to paper and
yeah.
What can you share about it so far?
I'll give you an exclusive, because there's some information that I always withhold. So I'm not official with the dates yet. So all I'll say is this: it will be end of April, 2026. That's all I'll say for right now. I'm looking at 25th and 26th, but I haven't actually, it can't make anything official yet until, contracts are signed and things like that. There's a process, just, the way it is. Yep. But I can tell you, sneak peek, year's theme. So I always, make that a big reveal. I'll give that to you now. So last year for year 12, our theme was Journeys, and I'm wearing the shirt for last year. We have a logo design for next year. Not ready to reveal that yet. But next year is going to be year 13. So looking at that, we had to go with luck.
Okay.
So next year's theme is going to be luck. Yep. So, and we do have a really cool logo design. In talking with the graphic artist, I said there's 2 hard rules. Well, 3 technically. 3 hard rules for our logo design next year. I do not want a horseshoe. I do not want a 4-leaf clover, and I do not want a leprechaun anywhere in it.
None of that low-hanging fruit.
It's just, no, they're awesome symbols. And you know what? They are going to be present in some form at the event. I am certain.
They're going to be
and that's
there.
fine.
You don't need to have them in the logo.
Yeah.
It's an opportunity to be super creative too.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. And I'm very excited with the logo that we have this year. So I think it's going to look great when we get it up and running. As soon as I have it, I'll share it publicly.
Awesome. I'm really excited about it.
Thank you. So am I.
One thing that I was going to ask too that has to do with let's take the most recent iteration, but you could also answer this question with whichever iteration of the festival you want.
Okay.
But are there like any specific moments, maybe 1 or 2 moments that just give you goosebumps when you think about them or talk about them?
Oh, that's a great question. I have 12 years of intense memories that I have to, I gotta sift through. I mean, definitely the opening. Like the moment year one opened, the very first ever. Yeah, that moment. And I, leading up to the event, I had a lot of moments of, oh my God, this is real, this is happening. It was very solid, like, this car's moving forward, it ain't stopping. The show's gonna happen no matter what at this point. Yeah, seeing the gate open for the first time, announcing the opening of the event, people coming in. I remember we broke a milestone for attendance early on. I think it was like when we first hit like 2,000 attendees, and that was like year 3, I want to say. I think it was like year 3. We broke 2,000 attendees, and I had this moment where I was backstage. I was off the event site proper. I was kind of not in the mix of things, and somebody had come up from the front gate to kind of just tell me this news, and I was on a break. I was just like having a quiet moment to myself in the shade, drinking water or something, and I was alone at that moment, and this person delivers the news, and then, that's great, and then they leave, and I'm standing there, alone-ish, by myself. There's nobody else immediately around, and I'm taking in this information that I just hit this milestone of 2,000 people, and the only outside other stimulus was the susurrus of the crowd out enjoying the event, and I just kind of this moment of that is the murmur of 2,000 people enjoying my event. And I just kind of sat there and just kind of swam in that. And that sound has always been a very special sound for me. And I don't know, that may sound strange, but just whenever I was backstage at any other event, that I was working, I always loved, if I was on a break, having a snack, whatever, getting out of costume for a minute, taking a break, and just hearing that, the crowds, just that the voices, and occasionally punctuated by music or the hawkers of the other events, but just that white noise murmur has always been very special, and so specifically that time too, when knowing I'd broken that 2,000 person goal.
Yeah, that's a very real way to experience that. I think you can look at numbers on a screen or on a sheet all day, but like when you actually have an external stimulus that shows you the effects of the thing that you're making.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. Too. And it was just that that auditory sense, because I couldn't even possibly see everyone all at once. And I guess if I had to pick another one, like I said, there's so many. But I guess this one's also pretty tangible too. It was the last year we were at. It was either last or second last year. Second last year. It was year 3, I think. Same year. I had a guy there that was doing stone etching. And I think he did glass too. I know I had one of those. I don't remember if it was the same guy or somebody else. But anyway, guy that was doing like carved stone. And it's like, you can get your name in it or a message. You could just do, little memorial markers or, whatever. And he presented me with a 200-pound slab of rock, and it's like, get that in frame, it's literally, I kid you not, it's this tall, it's about this wide, and it's this thick, so it's definitely like a thin sheet, but it's rock, and it's 200 pounds is what it is, and the entire front of it is engraved with our very first logo. We do different logos every year. So it's this little like cute happy gnome sitting on a mushroom and waving, and it says Festival of Legends, and you are parked right next to it. It's out front. I don't know if you even noticed the
I didn't even notice it, but I mean I am now.
Yeah, there's a light pole there, and it's leaning against it. It's like if you can't figure out whose house is the person that runs Festival of Legends, that's on you. I literally have an engraved stone sign out front. Getting that too, just that kind of that very a very tangible this event is here, it exists, and well now it's carved in stone. That was a moment. I have one more I'm going to add on actually. It's specifically this is the most recent chill, I guess. I think is how you described it. So I've had a long time partnership with Starlight Mead, amazing people.
Great mead.
Oh my God, fantastic mead. They were the first people to support the event at the outset. They've been with me the entire time. They're one of the very few people who've been there the whole time. Got married actually at Starlight Mead. That's where we had the ceremony and the reception there. But for this year, they made an exclusive just for Festival of Legends mead. Limited run, only being sold at the event. I think they made 60 bottles. They were sold out by noon on Saturday, if I recall correctly. A ginger peach is the flavor. But it was, so first off, just them making us our very own exclusive mead. And ahead of it, so before I'd even tasted it, but I know Ben's stuff, and I knew it was going to be amazing, and just ginger peach, I like those flavors. So I knew he'd blend them nicely, but so I hadn't tasted it or anything. He had sent me an image of the label, and so I had this graphic on it, and had Festival of Legends on it with Starlight Mead, and this amazing message that they had written. And just talking about the friendship that we have enjoyed and the partnership that we've enjoyed for all 14 years. It was very moving. And I was just very personally deeply touched.
Did you keep one of those bottles or anything?
I got one. I got one bottle. We bought two. One was a gift my wife was getting for her family. But then I got one. Enjoyed it. And that one is sitting up there. And I've got a few mementos on my mantle.
That's amazing. What was it like this year when the gates opened and the first few people started walking into the event?
It's so funny, we were just talking about this very kind of high, emotional state, those moments that really get to you. In the most beautiful way possible, it felt almost the opposite. It felt natural. And this year more so than any other, and I firmly believe this was my best year yet. And I have a little closing speech that I do, and I actually, this was kind of the focus of it, was, it just kind of all happened like it was supposed to. And I guess the downside to it is I felt a little disconnected because a lot of these, everybody that works the event is a really good, close personal friend of mine. Some of them, because we live all over the country, this is when I get to see them. And I almost felt like I didn't get to see them enough, even though the only time I was missing with them was them, asking me questions or needing to be told what to do or organized. Not to sound, patronizing, but just very business, running the event type stuff.
You had a job to do.
Yeah, right. And this year it was all just like, nope, everybody knows what they're doing, and went. And I just, very much so, just things started open. I'm just like, all right, here we are again. Wow. It's just another festival opening. And I really like the fact that this year felt that way. That it just felt so comfortable. And
now it just feels right. It feels like you're doing what you're meant to be doing.
Yeah, exactly. It's just kind of woven into the fabric of reality now. It's just, this is what is.
If somebody had no idea what the Festival of Legends was, what would you say to them?
Well, we are a celebration of the mythic arts and the magic of life itself, is what it says on our website. In part, I can give you the whole spiel, but I won't. To speak very plainly, we are a type of fringe festival. We are a music and arts festival. We have tons of live musical acts, in addition to acrobats and magicians and costume characters and puppetry, and just a million things along those lines, plus an artist marketplace with all actual, original art. We have sword fighters, just tons of stuff like that. Taking it a step past that, we are specifically a fairy festival, so we are not historical. And historical fairs are great. Like I said, my background is Renaissance festivals. I got introduced to fairy festivals up at New York Fairy Festival was really my first one, and there's a bunch around the place. And I liked, and I chose to go that route because it was more of what I loved about Renaissance festivals. I think history is important. I'm a big fan of history. But my goal wasn't to make it a historical event. I love fairy tales. I love mythology. It just seemed much more natural. My goal was much more have fun. And just, create a really fun community. And I really feel that that we've done that. We've accomplished that. One of the things that I hear time and time and time again, I ask for feedback. People offer their opinions and feedback. The number one thing that I hear is something to the tune of, this is one of the only festivals I go to where everyone looks so happy to be here. Referring to the performers and the artists, or that everybody is just so nice here, or that everybody feels so incredibly welcome here. And that is definitely the goal. So it's a weekend to come out. I say we leave the real world out of it and just immerse yourself in art, music, entertainment, all with a fantasy flair. And I don't discriminate. We get steampunk out there. We get Star Wars. We get anime. If somebody has made a cosplay of it, it has appeared at the event. Obviously we lean towards, fantasy and fairy tale and
You're not going
like
to turn somebody away at the door because they're in a Star Wars costume.
No goodness, no.
One really cool thing to see is when somebody has like a Star Wars costume, but then they put a fantasy flair on it, like a medieval Mandalorian or something.
Which we've seen. Well, we know there's the steampunk Mandalorian, and I think he's even been out at my event before. So yeah, things like that. Oh yeah, no, just tons of amazing Doctor Who. Gosh, Doctor Who covers so much stuff. Oh yeah, and then of course just a lot of original pieces. We got a lot of very unique fairies, angels and angelic type characters, various winged characters. Some a little bit more on the demonic side. Just a huge variety of people out there. I love it all. And hey, and a lot of people come in jeans and t-shirts and baseball caps and whatever. People always ask me, do we have to come in costume? What's the period? And our official answer is it's now, because fairies are eternal and fairies don't have a dress code. So a fairy is just as likely to be here. I mean, for all I know, that Matt Smith Doctor Who is in fact a real fairy who just decided to appear that way today.
Yeah. Modern fairy.
Absolutely. So they're eternal and they could be wherever they want, however they want. You could do the same.
So what's the best way for people to stay up to date with news when you announce the next one, when you show the logo and all that? Like, where can they find this info?
Those always get posted to the same places. So we do have a website, www.festivaloflegends.com. Pretty easy. We also have a Facebook page. We always create a separate event for every year too, but we just have our standard running Facebook page, the Festival of Legends. We also have an Instagram, Festival of Legends. So you could check out any of those, and pretty much anytime I post, it's, I'm gonna hit all three of those.
Easy to find.
I like to think so. I try to communicate and get that stuff out there, and hoping to make some big announcements soon about official dates and everything.
Is there anything else that you would want to say or mention?
I'm between events right now. So if you want to know what we had last year, it's way too much for me to list out loud. So it's all still up on the website. People can see, well, this is what you could have seen in 2025.
And they can also watch the other Nerdgate Southeast video.
That's right. Ooh, I know what I could do. I'm gonna take a risk. And I'm gonna take a risk because I'm always hesitant to say anything before it's official, because things can always change. But we're pretty dead set on this. The chances of it happening are 99% because we want it to happen. So we have gotten requests over the years, and a surprising number of requests this year. People have said, hey, could you do a nighttime, during the Festival of Legends? Could you do a nighttime event. And that's complicated for a lot of reasons. The number one reason being, you had asked earlier, about my network of people. And I said very truthfully, cannot do this event without them. They are absolutely critical. That said, 360 days out of the year, I'm the only one really working on the event. That's mostly true. It's not 100% true, but just kind of go with this right now for simplicity's sake. It is me for 360 days of the year, and then there are 5 days of the year, the two of the event plus setup and cleanup, where this team descends and takes that plan I've been working on for 360 days and makes it happen. But the event is mostly me making this run. I can't stress that enough. I am so tired when we get to Festival of Legends. My personal litmus for did I do a good job this year preparing for the event is when the gate opens, do I get to clock out and be done? And that's kind of the way I think about it, really. Aside from the fact that my staff is really competent and really good at what they do, that's what they're there to do. And I was like, they know what's going on. So, in terms of people saying, like, hey, could you do a nighttime event? I'm like, oh my gosh, no. No, because I would have to be there for that. God, I'm tired. People are like, the parties afterwards must be fantastic. I'm like, the sleep afterwards is amazing. Yeah. No, and I do, we do have some small gatherings and some celebrations and things like that. But, so there's that. That said, also, it's a rented property. It's the city's property. I'm using a public park right now that I'm renting. I also want to address this quickly too. I got a lot of, I've got, not this year necessarily, I've got a lot of feedback where people are saying, hey, what you should do for the event? Something that alters the property. Like you should build some structures. Somebody once said you should plant flowers now so they're grown in and more developed, or, put in plantings now so they're grown in and like ready to go for next year. And I'm like, it's not my property. I can't
right.
do that. So there's only so much I can do. But yes, this year, what we're talking about is kind of a 2-for-1, two birds with one stone. So we're talking about having a Friday night pre-opening kind of celebration. Okay. My senior staff will be there. If you want to meet any of us and learn about the event that way, we will have some entertainment. We will have some food and drink. And there's a very practical reason for this too. So I said 2 birds with one stone. The other one is this: lots of people pre-order their tickets, and we had big lines this year, and especially for the pre-orders. So we're talking about ways that we can mitigate that. Okay, you pre-bought your ticket. We want to get you into the gates faster, enjoying the event sooner. We can open up more lines. Okay, that'll help, but we only have so much staff that we can, get. So we are going to, during this Friday night pre-opening event, we're going to have our ticket booth open so anybody who has pre-ordered their tickets can claim whatever their tickets are. They can get their wristbands if they bought one of our pins. We usually sell some sort of memorabilia or commemorative item. They bought that, they can get that, get their weekend passes. So that way, Saturday comes, the event officially opens, and you could just arrive, park your car, and roll right in, show your wristband, almost no waiting in line. So, and hey, have a little, pre-celebration the night before with some fun surprises. So like I said, we haven't booked the entertainment for that yet. We haven't booked the the food and alcohol vendors for that happy event yet. But that's what's in the plans and that's what's in the works. So something new that we haven't really done before. And what? Speaking of memorabilia, wanted to offer you something. So you're newer to the event, and like I was just talking about pins and swag. So our year 10 was our year of magic. And we had these pins, and staff get one color, patrons can purchase another one. But I know you weren't there for a year of magic, but hey, thanks for helping the magic come alive with the event and getting the word out. So I wanted to make sure you had one of our collectible magic pins.
Wow, thank you so much.
Yeah.
This one's beautiful.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, we're super. There, it's always the logo of the year, and so for a little bit of context, because it was our 10th year, which was a milestone, we decided for the logo we wanted an updated reimagining of our original logo. So our original logo, little happy smiling gnome on a mushroom, very simple, but it's nice. So this one's a little bit dressier. You know, we got the mushrooms there. We've got the fairy now. You know, kind of waving to people, saying hi. So yeah, but our reimagining for a year of magic.
Well, thank you so much.
No problem.
Hey, well, that was great. Thank you so much, Jeff. Thanks for having me here.
Thank you for coming over.
Yeah, and thanks for taking part in this.
Oh no, I'm happy to do so anytime.